Warning: this podcast may contain graphic and triggering content. Please listen at your own risk. Each individual struggle is different, and everyone's recovery and healing journey is different. Please reach out to a certified medical professional if you need help. Welcome to episode 27 of Stomp the Stigma, the podcast aimed to fight the stigma surrounding mental health through education, awareness, experiences, stories, resources, and the vulnerable truth. Joining me to stomp the stigma today is Mel and Rakesh, my first episode with two guests at the same time. Mel has been through so much. She shares her journey through mental health, through physical and verbal abuse, from her family, her relationship with her family, how she puts the past behind her, and her whole journey up to this point. And she's brought with her today her friend and mentor, Rakesh, who has also been through his own mental health struggles. And we talk about all of that with both of them, as well as the cultural experiences with mental health and the stigmas that come along with that. This episode is a little bit longer, but we had so much to talk about and so much to cover that I had to keep it all in. So I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, and I really hope that you learned something or got something out of this episode. There is so much that we covered. Enjoy. I want to start off with Mel's story. You have mental health struggles of your own that have kind of become, I guess, more apparent in recent times. Do you remember kind of the beginning of that? Like, did those start when you were younger, or how did those kind of come about and come to the surface for you?
Well, first of all, I think Rakesh and I just want to thank you, Alana, for allowing us to use your platform to share our story. So my mental struggle started when I was at a really young age. So I would like to start off the podcast with this quote that really resonates with my journey. This is from Stephen Bartlett. Your mental health is more important than your career, your bank balance, other people's opinions, that event you said you were 10, and your family wishes combined. In 2021, if you have to let someone down to take care of yourself, do so. So my name is Melanie. You may also call me Mel, and here is my story. My family and I, we moved to China. No, not China. Moved from China to Canada when I was 7 years old, from a very small village in Fuzhou, China. My grandma raised my sister, Rachel, and I because my parents had to work out of town. They were unable to find a job within the city due to the language barrier. At the time, I was living with a total of 15 people, which consisted of my great-grandma, my grandpa, my grandma, my aunties, my uncles, my sister, my dad, and mom. My mom always shared this story with me when I was growing up. My parents worked out of town at a Chinese restaurant, and they would drive back home on the weekends to see my sister and I. My mom asked my grandma to borrow money to buy a second pair of pants for work. My grandma said no to her. She would need to wash the same pair of pants every night because of all the grease and sweat. She waited for 2 weeks and she received her first paycheck in Canada to purchase the second pair of pants. I always tear up when my mom shares this story with me. This is a reminder how fortunate we are and not to take life for granted. I would like to share this picture with both of you. This picture was me in high school. I'm 5'2", and I'm probably weighted about 160 pounds in this picture. I was considered obese. I was overweight from elementary to college. When I was in junior high, I asked my sister to come to Jenny Craig consultation. I've never carried through with this program due to the cost. Growing up in an Asian family, we were never taught how to eat healthy. We would have huge portions of meals, and you would need to finish everything on your plate. If we didn't finish our food, we would either get scolded or given given a reminder how fortunate we are to have food on our plate, as there's a lot of children in third world countries starving, and how they would do anything in our position to be in our position. Apart from that, we would not share our feelings and were taught to suppress all feelings and emotions. I grew up with unhealthy and negative thoughts, and I never realized they were unhealthy thoughts until I started seeking therapy back in 2016. My childhood trauma included the following: eating disorders, depressions, anxiety, thoughts of harming myself. I was bullied in school, and that only made things worse for me. At the time, I did not know how to cope. Well, at least I did not know how to cope in a healthy way. Therefore, I did what I knew at the time to abuse myself as well in order to protect myself. I grew up in a toxic environment, and I grew up in a toxic family. My dad was an alcoholic, and he was never present. He is the person you would avoid at a family gathering. My dad was verbally abusive, and usually, especially towards my mom. I still remember an incident when my dad got so drunk that he was chasing my mom with a butcher knife and threatened to kill her. We tried to convince my mom to leave my dad, but my mom did not want to. My mom has like the biggest heart, and she was raised to believe that once you marry to a man, you need to be beside him for a lifetime. Regardless of how bad the marriage is, you don't leave. I have accepted the fact that my mom would never leave my dad. I can only be there to support my mom. Apart from being verbally abused by my dad, I was verbally abused and physically abused by more than one uncle. I never shared with my mom because I didn't want to add more stress problem to her life. What changed? Well, fast forward to college. One of my family members made a rude remark about my weight at a family function. These were his exact words: "You should lose weight because you are fat like a pig." That comment affected me, and ironically, it motivated me to lose weight. At that time, I did not know where to start or how to start. How do you even lose weight? I did not have any prior knowledge. So I decided to try every fad diet, like from low calories to ketos to skinny tea, you name it, and I've tried it. I was desperate to lose weight. Fast forward to 2015, I stumbled on Anna Victoria's Instagram page. She's a certified personal trainer. This woman inspired me and was a catalyst to my fitness journey. The main reason why I decided to buy Anna's first ebook was because she went through a similar journey as me to lose weight. She was relatable and always encouraged the woman to love the body, and the number on the scale does not determine our self-worth. At that very moment, I decided to get rid of my bathroom scale. I didn't want the number on my scale to control my life, my emotions, and it was one of the best decisions that I've made in life. Anna recommended me to create a private Instagram account to document my journey. The support from the community was incredible. I would share my daily struggles about food and workout and life. Over time, it became easier. This was not easy at all. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. Over time, you just learn what works for your body and what doesn't. I'm noticing I'm getting stronger, clothes fit better, and I feel better. What I'm most proud of is that I was able to keep the weight off for the first time in my life, and I fell in love with the process. Anna inspired me to become a personal trainer myself. What really helped me the most during this journey is the support from the community. I was able to complete Anna's first ebook, then her second ebook, then her third ebook. And lastly, she launched her Fit Body app, and now I'm here. I was able to meet Anna in person in New York City back in 2016. this was a trip of a lifetime.
Oh my gosh. I feel like our stories are so similar in terms of like our family dynamic and just going through like the eating disorders and the depression and that whole kind of journey. That is so crazy to me. But I am so happy to hear that you are doing so much better. I'm 5'3", and probably like 5 years ago I was like 170 pounds probably. Yeah, and just changing like your habits and your lifestyle just to kind of lose a little bit of weight but also become healthier has like changed my life. And I'm so happy that I got to meet you and that we are a part of each other's lives on social media and a part of this whole journey together.
Thank you, Lana, for sharing that. It's I don't when you first reached out to me, I wasn't sure. Like I have so many doubts. It's like, should I share this my story with like with the world? Like in the beginning, I was like, no, I'm not doing this. This is too frightening. Podcast. Where am I, right? But with COVID, it really kind of changed everything, right? So we have to be uncomfortable, and having a Rakesh on board with this and doing this with you, I think this is something that we're meant to do.
Oh, I love that. So, when you were kind of growing up with your struggles, did your family know about that at the same time that you were kind of getting this verbal abuse, physical abuse, everything from your family at the same time? Did your family know about your struggles when you were going through that?
No, but my mom, I don't believe my mom or dad know, or maybe they do and they don't want to speak up. My grandparents seen like witnessed that when my uncle abused me and he would hit me, and I remember this moment, my grandpa trying to stop my uncle. This is my grandpa's exact word: she is not your daughter, you have no right to hit her. I i never really shared this story with anyone, like at all, until I think it's took me a long time to really open up. That's why I want to bring a touch base on the mentorship and support that Rakesh gave me. He gave me the strength to really share my story. I don't feel embarrassed. I don't. I just want more people to know that it's okay. We will get through this together. It's one of those things. It's going to be hard, but we will get through this together. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's part of the whole stigma is just that people don't talk about it enough. And so it's not normalized. And so thank you for sharing your story and being part of that solution, I guess you could call it.
Thank you for allowing us to share our story, Alana.
So on your journey, was there kind of a low point for you where you kind of realized, okay, maybe I need some help, or like a turning point where you decided that you weren't going to let your mental health concerns kind of define who you are?
Yes, the turning point was when it's all kind of like in line with everything right now. So I think my turning point is when I started Anna's first ebook. That's when my life kind of like changed, when I started to take care of myself, when I realized that in the beginning it's all about that image, right? But over time I realized that even though I reached a happy weight, I was still not okay. And and there's all these thoughts in my head, unhealthy thoughts. Sometimes like they are so like familiar to me before. Like I've seen these thoughts. Like I don't remember. I don't remember where it's from. So until I made the first step of seeking therapy. Therapy is not normal in our culture. Like that's something that when you hear the word therapy, they're like, what? You don't need help, right? You don't need help. You have everything. You're doing good. Why do you need to go therapy, right? Like Asian parents doesn't understand what is therapy. After it's all the time, my journey, like from getting myself back into shape, in between, I separated with my ex, or I was in a long-term relationship. That's when I actually first reached out to a therapist. I didn't really kind of like, I went to probably like 3 consultations, and the third one I stopped. The reason being, my therapist asked me about my childhood. I shiver. I was like, I, I, I bury all this inside of me, and suddenly she brought this up. So it made me really uncomfortable. So I never went back afterwards.
So was there, like, what pushed you to go to therapy in the first place? Just your separation?
Uh, it's everything, Alana. I think I hold so much resentment of my mom, my dad, my family. And I know I'm not okay. Like I know. I thought really like I'm going to gym every day. Things are gonna get better. But I was still not okay. And I reached out to my friend. I my circle of friends, they're not really big, but they're I know like without a second doubt when I need help, they'll be there. I'll share you a story with you. It's I have these two really close friend of mine. It's this is after my breakup. I was doing really this one night. I was like, oh my god, I'm not feeling well. Like this is when I've been really training hard, but I just had a meltdown. And I am the type that I don't reach out for help. I feel like I'm a problem to my friends, like my family. So I usually don't. So, but that one night, I really needed somebody to talk to. So I called my friend, and this friend of mine, we met through Chinese school actually, in junior high. He was telling me afterwards, he never picked up phone calls like with the first ring. Usually, it's when you call him, he doesn't pick up, then you call you back. But that evening when I called him, he picked up on the first ring, and I told him like I'm not doing okay. I need help. So he dropped everything, uh, and he called my other friend that were really close. This is basically when we hang out, just 3 of us. So they came to see me right away, and they brought ice cream, and we just talked. I felt so much better knowing when I called them. First of all, they didn't like, oh, sorry, I have plans. I can't make it. Can we do it tomorrow? Without, they didn't even give it a second thought. They're like, okay, we'll be over in about an hour. So like that really, like this is the kind of friendship that I, I want to keep for a lifetime, because your friends suddenly just stop everything and just want to just be there for you, right? Sometimes that's all that person need, right? Because my mind that time was like, I thought about like unhealthy things, and because of my friends, they reached out, they were able to like come and see me. I, it's just, it made me feel more safe. It made me feel like I'm not alone. It made me feel I'm cared for.
Oh, that is the best when you have friends that you can turn to like that.
Totally. Like, and it's sometimes I feel like our energies are like kind of like linked, because when I'm not feeling okay, even though I don't share it, they know, they can feel my energy. So I got a call a few months ago from my friend, and I was like, hey, what's up? He said, oh, no, are you doing okay? I'm just checking up on you because I just feel like something's wrong, right? Just that's it. That's how he just called me, feel like something is wrong. And this friend of mine, ironically, is Rakesh. He called me out of the blue and thought of me, and I was like, oh my God, here we go again.
It's when you have friends, I think the main thing with friendship is you have to be authentic with friends, right? I mean, we tend to support in good times, but when bad times are there, or the times are not too good, I mean, that actually shows you really, the old saying like who your real friends are, right? And this is where your real friends will just come up and show up for you, right? I mean, and it just you'll pick up on emotions, you'll pick up on that energy that, oh, I need to call that person. Like, there's so many times we all get this message, oh, I haven't chatted with this friend for maybe months now. Like, let me find out how they are doing, right? So it'll just come to you. It'll just come to you automatically, right? And it's just check in, right? And hey, how you doing? How you feeling? Like, let's get together for coffee. I know me and Mel, like, I invite her for wings, like, so I know, it's, yeah, but we make out time just to chat and just to catch up on things, right? But I think being authentic, being sort of, there for your friends, not only in the good times, but really, really in those bad and difficult times, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I'm curious what your relationship is like with your family now. Because I know for me, a lot of my childhood and my family trauma contributed to my mental health struggles. And so that's not something that we talk about with each other. Like they're aware of it, but it's not something that we ever discuss. And so the people that I turn to when I do need help are my friends, right? What is your situation like with that?
It's actually pretty awkward, to be honest, Anna. I live with my dog, so I'm on my own with my dog, Griffey. So Sunday is usually our family dinner, but I feel so out of place when I visit my parents. Like, I don't know why this is so hard for me. I just feel like I don't have energy. I don't want to be there. I just don't want to see my dad. Like, it's like I hold so much resentment for my dad until really this beginning this year when I went back to therapy. I completed my 12 sessions. Like, I was really proud of myself because I didn't think that I was able to get to that place. And my mindset changed after these sessions. It's kind of like a wake up call. I know I need to spend more time with my family because they're not getting any younger. So now I I accepted the fact that I can't change my past. I have to move on. I need to live in the present because it's not hurting anybody else except for my mental health. So letting go, like, of everything, I feel like a whole new person after this after I completed therapy. I'm visiting my parents more now. I I'm having really good conversation with my sisters. We're not fighting as often as we used to, and I'm just happy.
Oh, that's so great to hear. I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. So you told me that Rakesh has been kind of like a mentor to you through the past couple years. That is amazing that you have somebody to turn to. What is it about him that has made him kind of more of a mentor or a supporter for you compared to other people?
I met Rakesh about 7 years ago. Rakesh's positive energy is contagious. He has the ability to stay calm in any situation. Rakesh is like a father figure to me because my father was never around. He was there to support me when I walked away from my 5 year relationship, a relationship where my life had revolved around my then fiance. He was an amazing human being, but we just grew apart. When I first shared the news with my mom's first reaction was, "Did he cheated on you?" I think this is pretty normal in the Asian culture. Like, and my mom's like, "You guys need to work this out. You guys have been together for so long. You just can't walk away like this." But I was very honest with my mom. I told my mom, we just grew apart. We're better as friends. Rakesh was there to support me when I purchased my first home. Not financially wise, but he was there. This is when after I separated with my ex, I bought my first house within the same year. And I moved out with my dog. Rakesh was there to support me when my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. My mental health and anxiety was at its worst. I moved back to home to live with my parents. Spent about 1 year living in and out the hospital. It was tough, Alana. Like, imagine trying to balance work. I just got my first house and taking my dad to all these medical and chemo appointments. Yeah, I was really overwhelmed with everything. My mental health was not in a good spot. I cannot recall the number of times I cried alone. Although the year was really painful, I did manage to find a silver lining through it all. I came to realize how strong I was and how strong I could become. I've learned that I can overcome any struggles, battles that life throws at me, regardless how difficult it is. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But through it all, I'm very thankful that my dad was had beaten cancer and he's a cancer survivor. Rakesh was there to support me through my fitness journey. I truly believe Rakesh came into my life to rescue a broken me.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So Rakesh, I understand that you do online life coaching as well. I'm curious, like how you got into that and what made you start that.
When I was growing up, it was something that I was really passionate about in terms of just helping people, like being friends with anyone, like anyone and everyone out there. But my friendship was always unconditional, right? It was not something that like I do something for you and I expect something in return. I'll just do it out of, I don't know, it's just instinct, or and like I grew up. I was born and raised in the Fiji Islands, in a humble family, like in a very small town. But I think, like Mel said, Asian culture is the East Indian culture is also very similar to the Asian culture. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of like expectation when you're growing up, and especially when you are the only son in the family, especially in the East Indian culture. There's pressure of like traditionally, it's when a son is born, you're expected to take care of your family, not only your family, who will be your future wife and kids and things like that. It's also your parents, your sisters, the entire package, right? So um, there's this whole expectation. So and it, from a very early age, there's this pressure, like you feel that you have this pressure on your shoulders that you are carrying the family now, right? And that typically always stayed with me. In my childhood, my dad was a school teacher. East Indian culture, disciplining children by way of sort of hitting them with a belt, or slapping them. It's 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 pretty standard. It was pretty standard at that time, and it's something that, yeah, that's the way I discipline. That's the way we discipline, right? So imagine like getting I would say beat up from a very early age for probably mistakes you might have done unknowingly. That stays with you, right? That stays with you. I still remember days when just because my father was a school teacher, then eventually left and started a business. I was afraid to bring my report sheet, like report card, my school report home, because his expectation was that no, that I need to be in the top end. I need to be in that space where I'm competing and doing everything. But for me, life was a balance. I wanted a balance in sports. I wanted a balance in, say, public speaking. I wanted a balance in studies, like So being average throughout everything that I do. That's what my thing was. At the same time, at the core of everything was just seeing how I can help or support people. Right. I think what sort of really stood out for me was my leadership skills at a very early age. I was leader in the class. I was leader in the school. I led my oratory team, my debate team. But through that, I think it was because I don't know. It was probably I was authentic with the way I was speaking and doing things without expecting anything in return. I think that probably did that. And like I said, like there was this pressure and stress of what the family wanted me to be, but I did not want to be that. Even like when I graduated grade 12, I never knew what I really wanted to do in life. I just wanted to help people. Like if someone is falling, I just pick them up, get them on their way. If someone is bullying someone, I'll step in and sort of probably stop that, right? So I think for me that was the biggest thing. And then eventually, my wife, she came into my life, and my life kind of changed a lot for me. She brought a different strength within me, um, and slowly the pressure of sort of being in that pressure situation of sort of being the first one to go to, pulling the family out of everything. I think slowly I got people to realize, yeah, you can do this on your own and things like that. Fast forward, we moved to Canada. It's about 18 years now, and that's one of the biggest risks I took. And that's where I guess I had all these things within me that actually taught me sort of life is different. Life is not the way it's supposed to be. It's not the traditional piece that you need to follow, not that cultural piece you need to follow. I I needed to break away from that. I needed to get out of that you're in this box, right? I needed to get out of that, right? So I think moving to Canada was the biggest risk and the best risk probably I took. I was in a very stable job back in Fiji. My wife was not working. I had a fantastic sort of time with my employer. It's only there's a life-changing event happened. A military coup happened in Fiji, and skilled workers started moving out, and then I moved out as well. But I think when I came here, for me, it was that, oh, I'm starting fresh, I'm starting new. I'm leaving behind all the stuff that I had. I need to set myself up. But I think this is where that piece comes in when you look at the cultural aspect, right? I mean, for me, your system takes a shock when you move from, say, a very tropical country to Canada, which is like gets in minus 40s and things like that. That it's a shock to the system, but it also was a cultural experience for me as well. I wasn't employed for 6 months. We are expecting another baby on the way. My wife was not working. The funds I got from Fiji to sort of get us through, that was draining out very fast. And I still remember this time where I was uh, I was standing near the Whitehorn train station in Northeast, and in that moment I felt like this is it. I probably need to leave now, right? And I don't know what changed in that moment. Something just struck me that said, you are better than this. You're stronger than this. You've survived a lot in your life growing up. Like you had so many accidents in life. I had a broken ankle. I had a broken arm. My artery was cut as well. But I survived all that, like through all that hard times. So something just struck me. I don't know. It just in that moment, like that, I'm better than this. It's this is not the way to do it, right? I mean, that's the first time when sort of I really felt that mental stress really sort of bringing me totally down. Like it seemed like like how far down can you go? And I was really down, right? No job, wife's expecting another baby on the way, your funds are draining out. I mean, you're living with some family, you don't even have your own space. My other kids, they used to live in just probably one room all together. There was three of them. Yeah, it was but then again, um, based on my experience, and I had, I mean, people were not hiring me because of two things. One was that I was overqualified, or I did not have Canadian experience, right? I mean, and that's a story. And I think all this happened because it was a learning thing for me. Um, um, and I think when I look at that now, I think all that made me really stronger, made me really, really sort of, looking at life really differently, right? Yeah, so after that incident, I think in after a week, I got a job. I mean, I was happy, yeah, so that actually got my mind back in. And through my work, through my employment, like my job was there, my work was there. I enjoyed it. I built a career out of it. But my main purpose was to sort of help people. So through my work platform, I started helping people a lot more. Like people my peers, or people that work directly with me, or that sort of reported to me. I started helping them a lot differently, not just based on the business side of things, or them as a worker, as an employer for the company, but more like getting to know them better, right? So I always had this philosophy of if you need to know someone, you meet for the first time, you just need to know three things about them, right? Like other than what they do, right? So I always looked at knowing the three things about them, and it could be any three things. What's their hobby, what they do, what what TV shows they see, things like that, just to sort of get them sort of because breaking that communication barrier is always the toughest thing for anyone out there, right? And by knowing three things about anybody out there, you will break that communication barrier with them. So fast forward now. Then I knew that life coaching was something I wanted to do. I knew this was my calling. If that's the term we use. And then I think COVID helped that as well. Pandemic helped that because when things were down and it was slow. I had to fill in that gap of doing things. I had to fill in things that I wanted to love and enjoy doing, right? And that brought me to this thought that okay, for me to reach out to more people is that let me now get myself certified as a life coach. I did that, and then the next step was setting my website. So I have set up my website on life coaching, and December 20th of last year, that's when I sort of officially launched it. But I mean, the main intent of that is to help people out there, right? There's one thing I learned, I'm a spiritual person as well. I mean, spiritual is not about what religion you are from and everything. Spirituality is something different. Spirituality for me is what you are as a human being, right? That's what spirituality is for me, regardless of race, religion, culture, or color, or anything out there. As humans, I mean, we are here to help each other in some way or some form we can, right? Like when I was growing up, there's one thing that always I used to attend classes, and the spiritual guru that I had, I met him as well. He had a very simple thing that he used to say, right? He said, it's all about loving everyone and saving everyone, right? And when you say love is a very big, it's a huge word right out there, I know. I mean, but again, it's all unconditional, right? It's like, if I'm sharing any love with someone, it's not that I have a condition attached to that, right? I mean, it could be in any relationship you have with your peers you're meeting, the friends you're meeting, your partners that you have, your spouses that you have, your children that you have, right? So it's about what sort of you bring out within that, right? And one of the things that my sort of philosophy with my life coaching is typically a three-legged stool, right? If you just picture a three-legged stool, so you look at the base. You have a base and you have three legs, right? So the base typically is say you have love as the base, but the three legs are the main one that holds it, right? And what actually holds it is trust, understanding, and compromise. So if you build that in any relationship out there, with anyone you have or anyone you talk to, anyone you meet, life becomes so much easier, right? And then there is a need for us to sort of see how we can help and support everyone out there. Because if you don't have that in life, I mean, you don't have a direction. And sort of, I think for me, that is what I am. That is what sort of I want to bring out, right? For me, I can I'm out and out extrovert. Mel knows that. I'm probably the only one in my family of six, other than my little dog. We are the extroverts, right? So I can go up and speak to anyone out there, anyone standing anywhere, even out shopping. I'll go and say hi. I don't know. You just come up. I'll just start a conversation right out of nowhere. But I think for me, that is how you can sort of connect and share and say, that is a small piece of that love we are sharing with everyone, right? So and and my mental journey also took me through like a bunch of other stuff as well during my life, right? I mean, my dad was diagnosed with dementias. He eventually moved here to Canada. He stayed with me. He passed away about 9 years ago. But that actually showed to me that life is more than that, right? I mean, all of a sudden, like, you get into this patch, and you have this dark, path in front of you because of what you are going through as someone having dementia is out there, not knowing what's next. And again, like we always say, I understand what you are going through. No one understands who or what people go through, right? Only that person understands, right? But as human beings, how we can ease it for them, right? How we can make it easier for them, right? It's getting them to self-belief, right? Get them to do things that they love, right? Like it's not about just taking your medicines or your like things that you need to be there, but again, like how can we sort of make it difference in terms of self-enforcement, right? Self-belief that we can give back to them, right? So like those things actually really brought me, and I think it made me a lot stronger out of that. um, because we have a tragedy. Everyone has tragedies in their life. Everyone goes through in some form or the other. They would lose a loved one. They would sort of have someone that all of a sudden is gone out of their life. They have a life-changing event. Something happens. It could be natural or unnatural, right? A lot of stuff on that outside things happen, right? But at the same time, like where we sit, where we stand, or where we associate ourselves with people out there is typically in this present moment, right? It's how we show up, how we present ourselves in the present moment that actually makes them sort of different going forward, right? Yeah, so that's what brought me to my life coaching. Again, it's something that is and will be really passionate for me. That's my purpose. That's my calling. If I can put a smile on someone's face, each day. I mean, my day is that makes my day. And like it could be anyone, right? Of course, I mean, there will be that moments like when sort of you will feel like what the hell is happening here, right? What is happening? Sometimes you feel like just holding someone saying, "Come on, you're better than this, right? You could do this, right?" But it's the way you approach it. It's the way you do that, right? You know, it's all about being there, being in the moment, right? I still remember a story when people have this perception, and this is also tagging with the life coaching concept, is that, and I've seen my friends where they say, "Oh, my dad is alcoholic. I will be an alcoholic." So what reinforcements you are doing, right? You have this belief, but is that belief factual or is it fiction, right? So getting them to understand that no, you can break out of that, right? It doesn't mean that your dad was an alcoholic. You will be that, right? Let's break that. Let's get you to sort of look at things differently, right? I know a friend of mine that actually used to abuse his wife, and this is back in Fiji, and me and my wife, we stepped in, and we chatted with him and talked with him, right? And his thing was, my dad used to do that, so that's why I'm doing it. No, it's not that. It never is about that, right? You have someone in front of you who is a human being, right? I mean, you just need to treat that person as a human being, right? You cannot sort of show your supremacy because of your gender, right? You cannot do that. That doesn't happen. Like, it's not the right way to go, right? And I think there's so many people out there that probably need help around them. There's so many people that need help around, like talking to someone, right? Like my experiences here in Canada also has been where I've seen people in my Fiji community actually committing suicide because of financial issues, right? But the thing here is that, I mean, how many times sort of, see, like, without being sexist, I think as male dominant force we have in us, sometimes we don't talk about this too much, right? Women are a lot emotional, right? I mean, they'll talk, they will sort of, look at things, they'll emotionally respond to things, right? But for a guy, it will be like, hey, I'm the man, I'm stronger than this. I don't need to talk about this. So you keep building it in you, right? But no, we have that soft place in us, right? I mean, there's a need for us to talk, like, just talk with someone, be authentic, chat with someone. It brings so much difficulty, I mean, out of the equation, right? I know the guy who actually sort of, committed suicide because of financial issue. The worst thing is after the fact, like, that no one actually, everyone just talking, oh, he should have told us, he should have told us, he should have told us, right? But was there anyone that sort of, asked him? I mean, including myself, did I actually ask him, like, how you doing, right? And that's where I feel like it's very important to just ask that thing. So that's why, when you feel that, you need to reach out to someone, just reach out. Maybe that's that moment that you can sort of help the person really doing that. And that's what I do. I randomly sort of reach out to friends and say, how are you doing? How's things, like, what's happening? Like, hopefully you're doing well. And this was even before COVID, and not really now, right? So yeah, so that's typically, like, my side of the things. It's sometimes, difficult talking to your family about what you're going through. You'll come across friends that probably will come up and sort of, be authentic or not authentic. You don't know which approach is that. But when you find those special people out there, I think it's very important to keep those special people very close to you. I think the world needs that a lot. Everyone needs it. We need it. Everyone out there needs it, especially, like, when you look at kids growing up. And I'm very passionate about kids. Like, you just like seeing them sort of, doing, not getting what they deserve to get and stuff. It just sort of, brings tears to my eyes. And Mel knows this. I volunteer a lot at, like, kids organizations a lot as well, right? Just being out there, helping them. But I think, like, if you have the generation coming in, and if you just show them that love, peace, and hold their hand and take them through what they're going through, I mean, imagine how life will be in the next 20, 30 years later when they grow up, right? I mean, and if you take everything out of the mix, for example, one thing I did during COVID was, I hardly listened to the news during COVID, right? I meditate as well. That helps a lot. And meditation is, again, nothing spiritual. You just need that moment, that small time, your me time, just to sit and don't think of anything. That's all you need to do, right? And you'll see how much actually it sort of grounds you, how much it brings you back, and that refocus that you have, right? It's collective, I think. But as human beings out there that who really care about the mental side of things, the wellness side of things, it's also about inclusion and diversity, everything else together, like, that bundles it. And I think that's, if each of one can change something, just even by 1%, in our thought process, in the way we approach things. If you do a math on that, multiplied by the world population, things will just change, right? So that's my belief, that's my purpose, that's what I'm here for. I mean, to help anyone that I can out there in whatever way. It could be just a conversation. It could be just being there for them, or physically doing things for them, supporting them. Like, it's as little as sort of, you seeing someone stranded, probably, yeah, okay, let's see how I can help. Like, are you lost? What can I do, right? Asking that, like, how many times we come across people that sort of come into, say, a mall, and they're looking for a store, and how many of us are just away moving around, right? How about we just pick that up and just say, hey, you need help? Like, do you need something? It just takes a moment, right? And be happy with what's around us, right? I mean, we learn from a lot of stuff, but the moment, I think, we sort of move into that space of just asking people, hey, how's it going? Like, or how you doing? Like, a smile or something, it makes a huge difference to anyone out there. Even if you don't know that person, it's just amazing what you can do, what you can change, right?
Wow, you just shared so much information. Like, I could talk to you for hours. Oh my goodness. I guess the one question I have for you is, as somebody who has supported so many people through their struggles and their battles, is there anything that you've learned that I guess the average person might not know that could help them in supporting a loved one through something like this?
One thing that I always come across is that, sometimes we are caught in this. It's a perception thing, right? The way someone comes across to you. We'll just take a step back. So, as human beings, there's two things that we have the fear of, right? And this is proven psychologically as well, right? Is the fear of loud noise, and is the fear of falling. That's built in us. So there's so many times that you will sort of, if you hear a loud noise all of a sudden, like, that's your instinct of fear that starts, right? And then the fear of falling, like, if you're going down these steps, or things like that. how many times it comes across, I need to take my steps well, otherwise I'll fall, right? But it's around the perception part where I've seen where people, when someone's sitting in front of you and they're going through all this stuff, in your mind you might say, and I think it's a cultural thing. It could be sort of like Mel mentioned, in her culture and sort of in my culture, that no, and I'm just putting it out there. In our culture, people, there's majority people that will say mental illness is not a thing. They would say, no, oh, this is nothing. Like, we've been through this. Like, we came out of this, right? But the things that you inbuilt yourself, like your subconscious mind, actually stores that for life for you. Like, imagine the the physical abuse you might have had growing up as a child, getting bullied as a child, seeing your parents having clashes, right? Maybe it's because of monetary reasons, right? There's not enough. Remember, you've stored that all that years in a subconscious mind, right? And your subconscious mind actually then brings that to forefront whenever sort of any of those situations happen, even at a small fraction, right? So I think it's the perception we have a lot of who we're sitting around. But I think the key here is there's few things. One is that it's listening, it's talking through, it's listening, right? Patience is huge in this situation. I mean, sometimes when you're sitting here and the other person is sitting across the table for with you, I mean, all you do is just need to listen to them. Just let them talk. Let them take it out. Let them vent. Let them take all that out, right? And you'll see after, when they do that, they'll feel so much lighter in that moment, that when they'll get up, they'll say, "Oh, I mean, for them it'll be a thank you for listening, right? All you did is listen, right? I mean, if we just listen to those impulse, we listen to those, uh, those triggers out there, right? It's something that probably you just need to have that patience and listening through it, right? And I think that is something that probably is something that over the years I learned, and I want to get better at that. Honestly, it's a learning thing for me, right? Because everyone is different. Everyone you will meet has a different personality. No, each personality may be similar. No, each personalities, that things they go through will be similar. There'll be a lot of different stuff they will go through, right? But the moment you just sit in and listen and let them talk and get that out, and you'll see it creates so much of that lightness in them. Not only that, it sort of builds that confidence and trust in you as well. So they can come back to you again and chat with you. And they might reach out to you and say, hey, can I chat for another 5 minutes, right? Can I do that, right? It's all about that listening part that is huge. And I think if we do that, we take the time out, be patient and do that. And again, the other thing we do at times as well, I mean, we get caught in a lot of that material stuff that we have out there, and we don't make time for people that actually need that time with you, right? All it takes is that moment, right? If you can't take it now, just say, hey, I'll come back to you, I'll call you, I'll do this, and things like that, right? So again, I think listening is at the forefront. And again, it's about, like, sometimes you don't need to really sort of, there's things like you call a white lie, right? In that moment, like, if you're too authentic at times as well, authentic is a good thing, but if you're too authentic at times as well, it can take a adverse thing on that person as well. You need to be subtle. You need to be subtle with them easing into the situation they are in, or how they can get out of the situation, right? So there's a bunch of stuff. Again, like, it's a learning thing for everyone. It's a learning thing. But I think the moment sort of you think about bringing your love energy within it and sharing that sort of within it, and just sort of throwing it on them and just listening through, I think that's the thing that probably is the huge one. And again, it's something that we all sort of learn with that, right? We all sort of say, I mean, all the big companies, all the corporate world, everyone says, hey, we listen, we do this, we know it's there, but let's get that time to make an effort to listen, right?
Yeah, I love that one. I think a lot of the time people are not looking for someone to fix it for them. They just need somebody that's going to be there to hear their story, hear them vent, just let them express everything without trying to change them or make it better, because sometimes you just can't. But just being there to listen helps so much. Okay, Mel, you mentioned to me before that Rakesh has been a huge support for you in taking time away from work recently as well. Can you kind of dig into what has led you to take time off from your job? Like, was that affected by your mental health, or vice versa? Did that affect your mental health taking time off work?
Beginning of this year, I was at a very dark place. I think the main cause of that is transition to a different location. At this new location, I just felt very alone, and the feelings I was feeling, it felt so doesn't feel very new to me. I felt these thoughts like I've seen these before. So, and I was miserable during COVID, and I guess everyone take COVID in different ways. So during this period, my anxiety was at its peak. The gym was my safe haven, and morning training session were my escape. So due to all the lockdown, the gyms was closed, and I'm not able to go back. Although my safe place was taken away from me, at the same time, this time allowed me to really dig deeper, to seek help. That's the thing, to seek help. In the beginning, I was really uncomfortable about this idea. This will go back to the Asian culture again. Taking time off from work is like a crime in my culture. I I didn't share this with my mom because first of all, it's gonna make her worry. Second of all, it's COVID. You need a job. And third of all, I, I I'm not sure if she understands what I'm feeling, what I'm going through. So this, but this time is what I needed. Like I felt like I've worked my entire life. I need a break. So I've never really speak about my partner. He really helped me a lot during this journey. I was kind of nervous when I decided to take the leave. But when I shared that news with my partner, first of all, he's Caucasian, right? He did not judge me. He did not judge me. That kind of like made this process easier. He told me, I support you, and what can I do to help you? It made me feel like this is kind of normal. Like I can take these time off without feeling guilt, right? Like so I took the time to heal. It was not easy, Alana. It was definitely not easy because I'm a go, go, go person. I like routines. I like to keep myself busy. So during this period, I was able to welcome new learning and growth. More importantly, I walked away from toxic relationships and made space for healthy relationship and friendship. So this is not from the beginning of this year. This is more like when COVID happened. So from April last year to now, I was able to find that healthy balance between my nutrition and my fitness. I've never thought virtual runs is my thing. So I completed the 800-kilometer Canada challenge. That's from July 1st last year to July 1st of this year, 1 year race. You can walk, you can run, you can hike. So I took this challenge with my dog Griffey, and it's actually pretty fun when we reached our goal because the people that know me, that my dog is my world. Like my world evolved around my little man. He was there for me at my low time. Also, I do a lot of hiking with my dog. So I've never done this many summit until like when COVID hit. Last year I tackled about 15 mountain summits. So I also got into climbing. I was able to meet up with a couple girls. We were able to make this into a routine. So once a week, we'll go climbing together. I took my lead test for the climbing for the first time, and I didn't pass it my first time, my first try, and I felt like, you know what? That's okay because I get to take the test again. So second time, I did manage to pass my lead test, and I also really put in the work of attending my weekly therapy sessions. I felt like the least I can do is attend these sessions with a time off. And the last part is I worked on my relationship with my sister. Like our personality is night and day. Like I don't remember the last time we sat down and not argue. Like she is in her early 30s. Yeah. So I opened her up to her about everything in life and how I felt growing up. And it feels because my sister was there to see, she witnessed everything that happened. So this made us, I even, I never share this with anybody. I even told her, I have thoughts of committing suicide. I know this is, don't worry, I'm gonna work on this. And I shared with her when we were growing up, I've tried. I made many attempts, but I was scared. I was really, yeah. So for any parents out there, like, that's why I want to bring more awareness around this. Like, it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to have these negative thoughts. This is normal. I would like to share a story, another story again. So I have this Asian friend. He's a father figure. He has 3 kids. So this is what he would do. He would post the number, like the helpline, on the fridge. He would share this to his kids. Like, this is the number. One day, if you feel like you can't talk to mom or dad, this is the number that you call. That this is like, I felt that. Like, I felt like, oh my God, like, I wish my parents would have advised me when I was younger, right? So yes, I think it's we need to bring awareness to even our younger generations, right? And they should be teaching about mental health in school. There should be a course on this, because if that was in place, I don't think I think I would have a better way of coping, because I didn't know that having suicidal thought, it was this is not okay. You need to get help. There's like a emergency issues, right? So I took this time to work on my relationship with my family. To be honest, like at family dinner at an Asian family, like my family Sunday dinner is, we sit down. My mom would make us these delicious meal, but we don't talk with a family dinner. We don't make that emotional connection. And I always felt really bad about this because my parents are not getting any younger, right? I really want to get to know them because I've never had the chance to get to know them. I really want to ask my mom, like, how are you doing? Are you okay? Like, what kind of support you need from me, right? So I was able to open up to my mom, like, we're talking more. That's a huge step for me. I would like my mom's. She doesn't have a lot of hobbies. Her hobbies is plants planting, so that's her therapy. So I would always compliment on my mom on her veggies because it's so good. So yeah. So that makes her really happy because my mom, well, now she started to post her plants on Facebook on Kijiji. So when she gets people wanting to buy her plants, that feeling is more important than work. Like she gets so excited, and I'm so happy to see when, like, So she paid quite a bit on the plants, but that's not the main reason. It's just a process for her. It's she felt really content about this. And also I use this time to complete my personal trainer and my nutritionist courses. How I was able to complete this, I schedule this into my routine. I'm really good when I have a routine in place. So when that is gone, I'm a total mess. So I would wake up at 5, no, not 5, 4 a.m. every morning during the weekdays. I repeated this routine for 4 consecutive months. First task of the day was to have my morning coffee, then I'll walk briefly, then I'll work out, then study, and just repeat this and repeat this and repeat this. Keep in mind, I've taken this course before. This is before COVID hit. I didn't complete it because I didn't know how to fit this into my routine. So picture this, Alana. I I'm up pretty early in the morning. I will walk my dog, then I'll go to the gym. Then from the gym, I'll go to work. So after work, at the end of the day, I'm exhausted and I can't focus. And it's something that's been bothering me for the longest time of not finishing this course. So COVID really made me realize, hey Mel, you have a lot of time right now. So that's how I completed my nutrition course and my personal trainers course. And lastly, I got a lot of support from my partner. Like it was hard for me to recommit to a long-term relationship when I got out of my relationship about 6, 7 years ago. Uh, he came into my life really like I wasn't expecting this person to show up in my life like it just happened. And they say it's like this is cheesy to sound, it just happened. So I want to really use, he's not a social media person and I don't share this on social media because I want to keep it really private. And I just want to take the time to really nurture this relationship with my partner. It's he he cares for me so much and I can really feel the love that he gave me. I think because he doesn't talk like he cared for me by doing like action. So he would drive 6 hours to see me, and he did that for a year and a half. Like which human being on earth could? Yeah, driving 6 hours, they could do it one time, two time, three time, but he committed a year and a half. So we've been together a year and a half. So this really touched me. It was like, yeah. So I'm very grateful for my partner, and I want to take the time to thank him. Yeah, it's he changed the way I look at things really different. I think he also influenced me to be more a chatty person, hence why I'm speaking a lot. I think so too. So yeah, I'm just very happy that I'm able to do this time. I'm thankful I'm able to take the time off, work on myself, work on my traumas, work on what's important to me, and don't stress over little things. It's at the end of the day, won't even remember these little tiny problems 10 years from now, right? It's going to be something so little, and really just enjoy being present. I learned all this from Rakesh. Like I don't even know. I already share how much I really appreciate you, Rakesh. But yeah, it's this is quite the journey for me, and you reaching out to me, allowing us to share our story. I hope this would create more awareness. It doesn't need to help a lot of people. As long as somebody who's listening to this can kind of like, hey, this is okay. She went through this. He went through this. I can too, right? So really, if you are feeling like a little bit odd, like you're not yourself, reach out to a family, a friends. We have to take in control of our life. Nobody can really do it for you, right? So thank you, Alana, for this time, this opportunity for us to share our story, because I really, really appreciate this time too with Rakesh and with you. I think there is a reason why we're here together on a Sunday afternoon, is to create change.
I absolutely agree with you that all of this mental health stuff should be taught in school. I think that is a huge concept that people are kind of like forced to learn about on their own, and I think it's just as important as everything else. So I really hope that they do start incorporating that in school. I know that these mental health issues don't really go away, or you don't really, I don't want to say heal completely, but like recover. You know what I mean? Like they're still kind of in the back of your mind. It's something that you might face for a while. You just learn kind of how to manage that and how to deal with that. So, what kind of coping mechanisms have you been using to get through that? Like, I know the gym is a huge part of it for you, but is there anything else that has helped you in a major way?
I think a lot of people pick up new hobbies, things that they never like hiking, for example. That's my passion with like this is what I love doing during the weekend with my dog. So really finding your passion, right? Like what you love to do, things that bring you joy. That's what I learned from Rakesh, right? So having a routine, and I didn't think that I was able to complete my course, to be honest, Lana. Like after the first attempt, I was like, I'm done with this, right? So really making time for myself, right? I'm an extreme introvert. I, if you, you can't really tell. Hope it allowed me to really pursue my passion in fitness, right? I became an instructor, which I didn't think that this would be possible because, as I mentioned, I bought a house, right? For me to quit my current job, it's just not sustainable for my finance. But I was able to kind of make it work because my classes that I need to this oh no sorry the schedule works really good for me because I can do it on early mornings and weekends. And this is actually a really healthy outlet for my mental health because I'm happy. I don't mind waking up 3:30 a.m. in the morning to work because I enjoy it. And I have a client that I asked me like, how do you have so much energy in the morning? I was like, you know what? First thing I do when I wake up, I take my dog out for like a quick 20 minutes walk. Like that's what I do to just kind of like start my day, right? So and I'm not sure if the client knows that they think that I'm like this all the time. No, I'm not. I get my energy from them. We just feed off each other. It's what's those things that if you find something that you really enjoy, it is not a chore. So yeah, I am so happy I'm able to do this and having my animals. Like so I recently fostered a new puppy. So that keeps me busy. So and the shelter right now, we do need a lot of volunteers. So for anybody that's listening, if you have some space in your home, feel free to reach out to me or ARCS. ARCS is our the shelter for like a lot of like there's a lot of animals that are looking for a new home. So yeah, please reach out and just having the support. So the community, the fit body community, I lean to them a lot, and my family, my partner, and friends like Rakesh. Really, just reach out and to like when you're not feeling okay, just reach out. Sometimes all you need is a 5 minute talk, right? Just like, hey, I got this, right? So yeah, this is how I kind of cope with everything, and yes, oh, and also therapy. Really, I highly recommend if you have the benefit through work, use it, and it's okay to use it. And I know it's going to be hard to start, but therapist is like my best friend. Like it's because they don't know you, right? You can share anything, everything, and they don't know who you are, right? So yeah, I highly recommend seeing a therapist if you do need to seek help.
I love all of those mechanisms. I love it. Okay, I just want to address a little bit about the mental health awareness in your cultural communities as well. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I know we kind of touched on it a bunch already. And I think I mentioned in our previous call that uh, when I was growing up, like we didn't talk about any of our mental health issues at all either. So I'm curious, like, what your kind of experience is with that and what it's like in your cultures to talk about mental health or not to talk about mental health.
I think again, like in our culture, like especially in the East Indian culture, like I said, mental health is something you just brushed aside. It's not really like it's not a problem. I think that's what from generation, it's been that thing. It's just that you are compromised into doing stuff. So yeah, just cope with it. That's part of life. It'll make you stronger. It will sort of everyone's gone through this. The first one. So those are words that will be used and I can speak for my culture, right? And this is which I've seen commonly. It's there, right? I mean, even when wellness uh, became a part of a lot of mandate for a lot of corporate companies, and all companies have different cultures within there for diversity, right? And I think one of the things that always came up is that, it's not a problem in our culture. We cope with this. We do this, right? I mean, it's different. But I think it's all about education. It's all about like you say, managing through that, and it will be there, right? I mean, you will still like I said, your subconscious mind actually works in that mode, right? It can trigger any time that you go along your life journey, right? But it's how well you manage it, how well sort of you cope and manage that. So from the cultural perspective, I would say in the culture that I am in, it's sort of not highly sort of said, oh, this is a problem, you know. But what I've seen and the shift that's happening now, the younger generation that is coming up, I can speak for my children out here. I mean, they have grown up, in this new culture that we have, in the new generation that we have. They hold it very close to their hearts. So I think this will change in the cultural side of things. I think the newer generations will they can bring this change. They are bringing this change of the awareness. They are bringing it is a problem. It is a issue. It is something that we all need to pitch in together. And they will become our advocates for that. They will become our advocates going forward with this, right? And just quickly, I just on a side thing, like Mel mentioned, the way we cope with this and know how we manage it. I think one thing that I can say to people that are listening is that when you are in that space and you sort of don't know how to cope with what's going on, take that moment to sort of look at things that you can savor in life, right? Savoring is a great way to do that. It could be as all the little moments in your life that you really felt good, right? It could be in that moment where you sort of got up and did your dance, or did that moment where you went for this new ice cream flavor that you had, right? Or this new drink you had, or this new food on the menu that you had, right? Savor those little small things that's out there, and you'll see that it'll shift you that, yeah, life is so much more than all this out there. This moment, small moments that we have, it could be savoring that first moment where you someone held your hand and took you through maybe a ride on Kelway Park, right? I mean, something like that, right? Or savor that moment when you sat behind that first your first driving lesson, right? Savor that first moment that you went to the gym, you know. Savor that first moment when sort of you made your first tea, you made your first I don't know, breakfast, scrambled egg or something. So savoring is a very important part. It's a critical part of how sort of you can manage through all this, right? So yeah. So again, back to your question, Rana. Yeah, it's there in the culture, but I think it's shifted a lot. It's shifting a lot, and I think younger generation are going to bring this change. The generation we have now, and it'll continue. I think it'll continue. The world is changing. Like there's a lot of awareness that's coming up. it's on this generation that we have to change the perception of the older generation that's out there that had the different perception about mental illness.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to ask you guys is if you think it's changing or kind of becoming more accepted in your cultures to talk about mental health, but you kind of touched on that.
If my dad was able to reach out for help earlier, he wouldn't be like, I know my dad suffered a lot of pain. For a person to drink every single night, Elena, that's my dad. After he's drunk, he will just yell at you. Like, you really use language that you just it hurts you so much. So I do feel my dad's pain, but if he were able to get help earlier, things would not end this way. And I and also for my mom too, right? Like, my mom is a traditional mom. Like I growing up, I never really shared my struggle with my mom, right? There's one time when I felt really like low. This was probably in during junior high. This is around the time the bully, like I was getting bullied, and I would skip school. I don't want to go write my final exam. My mom felt something's awkward, like something's odd with me. I'm not really talking. I'm just like in my own bubble. She asked me, "Are you okay?" That moment, Alana, in my head, I really want to tell my mom I am not okay, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. I don't know why. It doesn't really. I couldn't express my feeling because I'm so used to bottle up everything. And being the oldest, like, it's tough, right? You have to lead by example, set a good example for your sisters, right? And it's really what I'm trying to get. Like, my message is really just create more awareness around mental health. And even with my family right now, nobody really talk about it. When we go to family reunions, they always just talk about happy things, right? They won't be like at dinner like, "Hey, are you doing okay?" And Asians they're very blunt. I'm not sure if you know that. If you gain weight, they would ask you, they will put you on the spot. So mental health is really, I'm very passionate about it. I'll give you an example. One of my uncle, we're sitting at like a dinner table. My uncle just out of nowhere made a comment about my cousin's weight. Right? This is out of nowhere. So he was like, "Hey, I think you need to lose weight. You've been really gaining a lot of weight lately, right?" But my uncle doesn't know that she has been trying to lose weight. She works 3 jobs. She has been going to the gym, right? So she's working on herself, right? So I felt like I need to speak up for my cousin, right? So when my cousin left, I shared this. This is something I don't think I'll ever do during my childhood, speaking up. So we don't speak up with our culture. If somebody bully us, we just hide it inside, like, right? So I told my uncle, like, I was like, "I know you come from a good intention, but she's been working really hard, right? So, and I don't think he knows the way that the stuff that he was saying to her really hurted her feelings, right? So I want to create the awareness around my family. Sometimes I know they want to do what's the best for you, but it doesn't always work in a good way. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think Mel, like there's always a saying like stand up to bullying. I think we should also say, stand up to wellness, awareness, right? I mean, making that piece out there. Like, if people don't have that, I think if everyone stands up as well and say, no, that's not the right comment, that's not right, that will show how authentic we are with this wellness piece that we are trying to drive, right?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I hope that this podcast will be a part of that change. Okay, I have one last question for you guys that I ask everybody that comes on my podcast. So either of you can answer, or both, or whoever. But is there a stigma or a misconception surrounding mental health that bothers you the most, or one that you hear most often that isn't true?
The stigma that probably is there is that bothers me is that it's I don't know if it's I would say awareness, but I think it's more of, I would say perception. I would say perception is the stigma that probably bothers me the most. I mean, because you get into this perception that, and you start in the judgment, you get into the judgment phase, that leads to that. And I think that's what sort of is the most annoying thing that probably I come across. I think the perception and the judgment that comes out of that, because you don't know what that person is going through. You are creating that perception and the judgment for that person. No, we are not in a place to judge someone else in terms of what they are going through or having the perception about that person. I think that's the biggest one that I have, the stigma on this one.
Well, that is all the questions that I had for you guys. I really want to thank you for coming on and sharing your stories and your experiences and being just so raw and open and honest with me and with the world now. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Feel free to reach out at any time. You can contact me on Instagram and Facebook at Stomp the Stigma YYC, and you can email me at stompthestigmayyc@gmail.com. If you like the podcast, please like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts. And if you or someone you know would like to come on, I would love to have you. Share your story, speak your truth, and together we can stomp the stigma.